We care about our heroes on the front line in our hospitals who are going above and beyond the call of duty. We salute their dedication and wish to extend our appreciation for their service. We also recognize the vulnerable in our society and provide support to those in need by introducing a label fundraising initiative in partnership with Oasis Water. Everyone can do their part by joining the fight with the simple act of purchasing an Oasis Water with a specially marked red label. Every purchase will go towards contributing to a product donation fund delivered directly to the frontline staff in our hospitals through the charitable organizations that we have aligned with. Our product donation will be used in the preparation of food hampers that will be distributed to the many families and communities in need who have been severely impacted by this crisis. A little bit goes a long way in this fight. Sip and support today. Help us contribute to those who have given so much back to us through their work on the front line. Lend of your support as we provide food relief to those families and communities in need. Learn more about this Oasis Cares initiative at www.myoasiswater.com.
For the everyday lowest prices on all grocery items, trust Low Cost Supermarket for the widest variety of quality products at low prices. Freshly picked fruits and vegetables, healthy products for your well-being, high-quality meat cuts, and a warm and friendly service. Low Cost Supermarket, Sun and Main Road, Cunupia.
Good afternoon, assalamu alaikum, and welcome to See Results on IBN TV, as well as the IBN TV Facebook page and the See Results Facebook page. I am Sir Ijaz, and today we are going to be doing mathematics in the first hour, and that will be followed by creative writing in the second hour with Miss Nyla. So we're going to be continuing from where we left off on Monday with mathematics. We are looking at questions involving decimals, fractions, and percentages, questions that come typically in the second section of the SEA paper. So the difficulty is a little more, but they are still quite doable. Of course, with ample preparation, all of the questions are doable, but hopefully you are able to do these a little more confidently as you do more practice at home and do the practice exercises with us here on See Results. Of course, we're going to be posting some homework for you on the weekend. On Saturday, we usually post our quizzes, sometimes on Sunday. And there will be some changes to that we'll discuss a little bit later in today's show. We did speak about it briefly earlier on in the week. So we're going to share the studio lines with you all. We're going to get into it pretty early today. I just do have one thing to refresh you on. So, of course, you can get ready to call us very soon. On our last episode, we looked at briefly how we would divide mixed numbers. So, of course, we know that mixed numbers are a whole number and a proper fraction together, and we can convert those into improper fractions. And if you are, if you've forgotten how to do that, if you're a little bit rusty, we know you've been home for quite some time, despite the fact that your teachers have been trying to connect with you, you've been working with us and so on. You may not be as sharp as you were when you were first becoming prepared for the exam. All right, so we just like to jog your memory a little bit. We said that we have to multiply the whole numbers by the denominator, add it to the numerator, and put it over the denominator, right? And if you don't remember how to do that, like I was saying, you can visit our YouTube channel, See Results, and there are many videos there on the basics of fractions coming all the way up, okay? So please avail yourself of those videos and practice with it. There are questions in there that you can pause the video, try it out and then see if you had the right answer at the end. So we said, you know, the process of division is related here to the process of multiplication. So we have to convert all of the mixed numbers in the problem. There won't always be mixed numbers, but we are dealing specifically here with problems involving mixed numbers. We convert them to improper fractions. We cross-cancel if there are common factors and multiply the numerators and denominators. And this is specific to multiplication. All right, so we just want to get a little bit of, you know, practice in with the multiplication, and then we'll move on to the division, which is very similar, but there are just 2 steps that we need to do prior to doing this. All right, so we have some questions here on the screen, and I'm going to be taking your help in order to solve them. So good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and who am I speaking with?
Javan.
All right, welcome, Javan. Javan is first today, as he was on my last program, I believe. So, Javan, what are your thoughts for this question here?
So, sir, I think I have a faster way of working it out than doing with these fractions. I would change 2.5 to 2.5. And I would multiply by 5 to give you 12.5. And since they want a mixed number, I'll say 12.5. All
right, great. So you are saying that you have converted this to 2.5 and multiplying it by 5?
Yes, sir, and you would get 12.5.
All right, so that is a reasonable enough approach. So we move the decimal point back, we get 12.5, and we know that 0.5 is the same as 1/2, right?
Yes, sir.
So that is how you got that answer. But what if you did this, Javan, and you got some really weird decimals? Do you think you would be able to convert it back to fractions very easily?
No, sir.
All right, so I'm not saying that you're wrong. You are absolutely right. And I also want to see if somebody can get it done in the traditional manner, since we are learning about fractions specifically with this exercise, right?
Okay, sir.
All right, thank you, Javan, so much for your call. So I am going to just rework this problem in the manner of a fraction approach, right? So we convert 2.5. We multiply the whole number by the denominator. 2 by 2 gives us 4, plus 1 is 5 over 2. And we multiply that by 5 over 1, right? We put all our whole numbers over 1. We'll get 25. We multiply numerators, and we multiply denominators. There are no common factors to cross-cancel with besides the number 1, right? Which would not leave us with anything different. And now we can change this improper fraction back into a mixed number. 2 can go into 25 12 times. 12 2s are 24, and we are left with 1/2, okay, which is the same as 12.5 as Javan just pointed out. So let's see if we can apply this method to the second question on the board, 8 by 3 3/4. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV. Hello, good afternoon, caller. Hi, good afternoon. And who am I speaking with?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And who am I speaking with?
I am Rehan.
Okay, welcome to our program. So, do you know how to solve part B?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and let us know.
Okay, so first you have to put the 8 over 1 and convert 3 3/4 to an improper fraction.
All right. And what will that be as an improper fraction?
So then that's 15 over 4 as an improper fraction.
Very good. 3 by 4 is 12, plus 3 is 15 over 4, right? And what do we do from here?
Yes, and then you have to cancel.
Okay, what
then
could
you
cancel?
must cancel.
Tell me what is canceling with what?
You have to cancel the 4 and the 8.
All right, so 4 into 4, 1, and 4 into 8 is 2.
So 4 into 4 is 1 and is 2. So then 2 by
Yes, go ahead.
2 by 15 will equal to 30. And then that will be the answer.
Excellent. 30 over 1 is the same as 30, right? Okay, thank you so much for your call, and you are absolutely correct. That is the answer for this particular question. Thank you, caller. So far we've looked at 2 questions involving a whole number and a mixed number, right? We had 2.5 by 5, and we had 8 by 3 3/4. But what if we have a fraction and a mixed number? It's the same procedure, all right? So let's see if I have a caller to help me with this one. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, welcome back. Is this Javan, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, Javan. So what are your thoughts for this problem, Javan? Are you going to convert 5/9 into a decimal?
No, sir. I think this one is a little more complex to do as a decimal.
Right.
So I'm going and work it in the fractions format.
All right, great. So tell me, you guide me here.
Okay, so I would have to change 3 3/5 to an improper fraction.
Yes.
And that would be 18 over 5.
Very good.
And then you cancel, and then you see 5 into 5 is 1.
Yeah.
And 5 into 5 is 1.
Yes.
And then you see 9 into 9 is 1, and 9 into 18 is 2.
Okay.
So my answer is 2.
All right. So you multiply the numerators and the denominators. You'll get 2 over 1, which is 2, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, Javan. Thank you so much. All right. So viewers, this is what I was talking about with the first part of the question, part A. While it is possible to convert to decimals and multiply, you can convert pretty much any fraction to a decimal, right? Sometimes you'll have the recurring decimals and so on, and you can do the multiplication that way. But when we are doing this multiplication, it typically is easier to do it as a fraction, right? So you can apply the rules that we've mentioned. We convert to mixed numbers, we multiply, we cross-cancel where possible, and then we reduce if we can reduce further, right? So we have here another question now involving a mixed number and a fraction. So I'm going to take another caller. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. And who am I speaking with?
Jaden.
I welcome Jaden. So Jaden, what are your thoughts for part D of this exercise?
You can change 1 and 1/8 to improper fraction.
Yes.
And then we get 9/8.
9/8, very good.
Then you multiply it by 2/3. And you could cancel out the 9 and the 3.
Yeah.
So 9 into 3. 9 into 3 is 3. 3 into 3 is 1. Then you will multiply 3 by 2 and you will get 6.
Yeah.
6 over 1.
6 over 1.
Or it could be 6.
Are you sure about that one?
No, you could cancel out the 2 and the 8 too.
Right, very good.
So 2 into 2 is 1, and 2 into 8 is 4.
Okay. So what will our final answer be?
You could, and after we change it to an improper fraction, and then we get 1 and 1/3.
All right, but when we multiply in here now, we multiply in the 3 by what number?
3 by the 1.
So we get 3 for the numerator, and what are we multiplying beneath for the denominator?
4 by 1.
Which is?
4.
So is this an improper fraction?
No.
This is a proper fraction. Why is it a proper fraction?
Because the denominator is more than the numerator.
Excellent. So in this case, we don't have to convert it to a mixed number, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, Jaden.
You're welcome.
All right. So well done, Jaden. Good work. So, right. So we noticed some things there. The proposition he was making at the end there was that if it was 4 over 3, you would have converted it to 1 1/3, which would have been, or 1 1/3, which would have been right. But we have to be careful, right? When we're doing our multiplication, we multiply the numerator with the numerator and the denominator with the denominator, and that gives us our answer. And if it's in a proper fraction form, we can reduce it if it's possible to reduce it further. Now, that could have happened just now, by the way. That's why I said in these notes that it is optional, actually, to cross-cancel, because you can basically do the same thing when you've multiplied, right? So let me just show you what I mean by that. He had cancelled the 3 and the 9, and he got 3 into 3 is 1, and 3 into 9 is 3, right? And we left this 8 and this 2 as it was. And he said 3 multiplied by 2, which would have been 6. And then he said 1 by 1, but it was actually supposed to have been 8 multiplied by 1. And that would have given us what? 6 over 8. And then we can see that 6 and 8 have the common factor of 2. So we could have simplified or reduced this fraction to its lowest terms and said 2 into 6 is 3, and 2 into 8 is 4. And we would have gotten the same answer as when we did the cross-canceling for the both fractions. Good? And of course, you could have even multiplied 9 by 2 and 8 by 3 and did the same thing. But it tends to be easier when you cross-cancel. You're going to get those fractions typically reduced almost down to the lowest terms by default, right? So that's why we try to cancel as much as possible. And it might be possible to cancel further. Sometimes, remember, we always cancel diagonally and when we are multiplying, and we don't cancel horizontally when we are cross-canceling. Good? So I have 2 more problems here. We've looked at problems involving whole numbers and mixed numbers, fractions and mixed numbers. Now we have 2 mixed numbers being multiplied together, right? So again, we have to convert all of the mixed numbers into improper fractions, and then we follow the same procedure that we have been doing. So let's see if I can get some help with these. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV. Hi, caller. Good afternoon.
Good evening.
Hi, and who am I speaking with?
This is Alex speaking.
Welcome, Alex. So, Alex, can you please mute the volume on the television and listen to me on the phone?
Okay. Yes, sir.
All right. So, what are we to do with this problem here?
Can you please give me a minute to look it out, please?
Sure, no problem. I'd appreciate it if you could tell me what steps you're doing, all right?
Okay, sir.
So did you convert the first mixed number to an improper fraction yet, Alex?
Yes, sir. I think I have my answer.
All right, go ahead.
I think my answer is 9 1/3.
All right, so let's double check that. What is 3.5 as an improper fraction?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that too well. Can you please repeat?
All right. what is 3.5 as an improper fraction?
7 over 2.
Okay. And what is 2 2/3 as an improper fraction?
8 over 3.
All right. And what did you cancel here now?
Hello?
Yes, what did you cancel at this point, Alex?
I got an answer of 28 over 3 when I multiplied those two numbers.
Okay, so you said 2 into 2, 1, 2 into 8, 4. And you got
Yes, sir.
28 over 3.
Yes.
Great. And you said 3 into 28 is 9. And a remainder of 1/3, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, great work, Alex. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so that was Alex there, guys. We still got a lot of feedback with that call. Please remember when you are calling us that you need to mute the volume on your television and listen to us on the phone, all right? I guarantee you can watch this back after the live has ended and you will definitely hear yourself participating on the program, okay? So that is how Alex arrived at 9 1/3 for that particular question. And we have one final mixed number to multiply by another mixed number. Good, we have 2 5/8 multiplied by 2 and 2 7ths. So let's take this call. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results.
Hello?
Hi, good afternoon.
Hello?
Yes, good afternoon, caller. Are you hearing me? Good afternoon, caller. Okay, so we seem to have lost that call. Do I have another caller on the line? Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. And who am I speaking with?
Andian.
Welcome, Andian. So, Andian, how are you doing?
Good.
So, what are your thoughts for this part F of our question, Andian?
So we changing 2 5/8 to improper fraction,
Yes.
which will be 21 over 8.
Very good.
And we're changing 2 2/7 to an improper fraction,
Yes.
which will be 16 over 7.
Very good.
And then you cross multiplying, so you see 7 into 7, 1,
Very good.
and 7 into 21, 3,
Yes.
and you see 8 into 8, 1,
Correct.
and 8 into 16, 2.
Great.
And you multiply the 3 by 2 and you'll get 6. And you put the 6 over 1
Yeah.
and you'll get 6 over 1, but the answer will be 6.
Excellent work, Andian. Thank you so much for your call and for participating.
You're most welcome.
All right,
Bye.
guys. So that is Andian there. Very intelligent young lady. Works very hard on our Edmodo page. And that is that for our multiplication of the mixed numbers. Good? So the question that we actually had to answer from our practice papers involved division. Now, when we have to divide and we have a problem with a mixed number, good, we're going to convert the mixed numbers just as we did into improper fractions, whether it's one or more improper fraction or one or more mixed number in our problem. And then we're going to change the divide sign into a multiplication sign. And we flip or invert the divisor or the second fraction. And then we proceed as we normally would with a mixed number multiplication problem. Good. That is to say, we cross cancel, we multiply numerators and denominators, and simplify our answer further if possible. Good. So this is the problem that was given in the paper, 5 5 6 divided by 3.5. So let's see if I can get some help with this question. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results. Hi, caller. Good afternoon.
Please.
All right, so we lost that call. We have 5156 divided by 3.5. So we all know the first step. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. And who am I speaking with?
This is Alex again.
Hey, welcome back, Alex. Your audio is much better this time.
Yes, I didn't know what was causing the disruption. Sorry about that.
Great, no problem. So what is up with this question now, Alex?
Well, firstly, I would think that we would need to change the both mixed numbers to improper fractions.
And I would say that that's correct. So you could go ahead and change them for me.
The first mixed number will be 35 over 6
Very good.
divided by 7 over 2.
Great. So that's our first step, is to convert these into improper fractions. And what did we say our second step was?
That we need to change the division sign to a multiplication sign
Right.
and inverse the improper fraction after the multiplication sign.
Right. And there's a word for that. We call it the dividend, all right? No, sorry, the divisor.
Yes,
This one here on the left is the dividend, and this is the divisor. But once you remember to flip the second one, that's okay.
Okay.
So you're going to get, when you flip that, what's going to happen to it?
You can reduce.
All right, so we get 2 over 7, right? So we have 35 over 6 multiplied by 2 over 7. So what would you cancel with what here?
37 cancel with 7. I'm sorry, 35 canceling with 7 at the bottom, but the bottom number of 2 sevens.
Right.
Denominator.
So 7 into 7, 1, and 7 into 35 is how much?
5.
Right. Anything else could cancel there?
Yes, sir.
What's that?
35 divided by 7 will be 5.
Right, and is there any other cancelling that could be done with this problem?
Yes, sir. 2 and 6.
All right.
The 2 reduced will be 1.
Yes.
And the 6 reduced will be 3.
Very good.
So we divided it in 2s.
Right. So we have 5 over 3 multiplied by 1 over 1. So what would this give us?
5. Oh no, sorry. This will give us 1 and 2/3.
All right, so we multiply the numerators. We get 5 by 1 is 5, right?
Yes, sir.
3 multiplied by 1 is 3. And you're saying that
3
the answer is?
1 is 3.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Good. And 3 can go into 5 how many times?
Once.
And that'll give us a remainder of 2
over 3.
Over 3. So the final answer is 1 and 2/3.
Yes, sir.
All right, Alex. Thank you so much. That is absolutely right. Okay. So we did all of that practice there to get to the bottom of this question, all right? It's a division problem. It involves mixed numbers. We have to convert them, as we said, into the improper fractions. I hope everybody is able to do that now. It's really quite simple. You multiply the whole number by the denominator, and you add that product to the numerator. Put it all over the same denominator. Good. That's how we got 35 over 6. Again, if you don't remember how to do this, if you have difficulties doing it, please go to our YouTube channel, See Results, and look at our previous videos on fractions and improper fractions, mixed numbers. It's all there. And there are a lot of examples for you to try. And then we have to convert this division into a multiplication. We flip or we invert the divisor, which is 7 divided by 7 over 2. So when we flip that, we're going to get 2 over 7. And we saw here that we could cross-cancel on both diagonals. 7 into 7, 1. 7 into 5, 7 into 35 is 5. 2 into 2 is 1. And 2 into 6 is 3. That gives us 5 over 3. And we have already learned how to convert improper fractions back into mixed numbers. How many times the denominator can go into the numerator? 3 can go into 5 once. We have a remainder of 2. And we put that remainder over the denominator. And that is our answer. Good, you can always double check. 1 by 3 is 3, plus 2 is 5 over 3. So if you were to convert it back, we'd get the same thing, right? That's one way to ensure that you have the right answer. So we're at about the halfway mark now. I'm going to take a break for about 2 minutes, and when we get back, we'll continue with more fractions, decimals, and percentages. So don't go anywhere. I'll see you in a couple of minutes.
prices on all grocery items. Trust low-cost supermarket for the widest variety of quality products at low prices. Freshly picked fruits and vegetables, healthy products for your well-being, high-quality meat cuts, and a warm and friendly service. Low-cost supermarket, Sun and Main Road, Cunupia.
Good evening, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome back to C Results on IBN TV, as well as the IBN TV Facebook page and the C Results Facebook page. So we've just looked at quite a few questions involving the multiplication and then division of fractions and specifically mixed numbers, right? So we have another question along those lines here, but this is a worded problem. So let's see if I can get a caller to assist me with this one. A recipe for a batch of cookies uses 2.5 cups of sugar A bag of sugar holds 25 cups. How many batches of cookies can be made from one bag of sugar? All right, so do I have a caller on the line? Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to see results. Okay, so those numbers are available for you there on the screen. Remember, we have the batch of cookies. The recipe for it requires 2.5 cups, and we have a bag with holding 25 cups of sugar. We'd like to know how many batches of cookies we can make using those 25 cups within that one bag of sugar. So this, as I said, it's related to what we were just doing. It's just put in a worded format, so it's for the student now to be able to decipher the question and figure out what operations they need to do in order to arrive at an answer. So the bag of sugar, it holds 25 cups, and the batch of cookies requires 2.5. So in other words, how many times can we get 2.5 cups out of this 25 cups of sugar within the bag, right? Because each of those 2.5 cups used is going to give us one batch of cookies. So we're going to set up the problem here. We have 25 cups, and we want to know how many 2.5 cups we're going to get out of it in order to make these cookies. And each time we use 2.5 cups, that is equal to one batch of cookies. So we have 25 here divided by 2.5 is going to give us the answer for this problem. So what you want to do is to take the 25, put it over 1, and then we have to change the division sign into a multiplication sign. Well, actually, before that, as we said, it's always best to convert those mixed numbers into improper fractions if we can. So we're going to get 2 multiplied by 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5 on 2. And that's a division problem still. But when we're dividing these fractions, we said that we must flip or invert the divisor. So that's going to give us 25 over 1. Multiplied by 2 on 5. And now we can cross cancel. So we're going to say 5 into 5, 1. 5 into 25 is 5. We multiply the numerators, we'll get 10. Multiply the denominators, we'll get 1. So the overall answer for this question is 10 batches of cookies using the recipe that requires 2.5 cups of sugar and out of a bag that holds 25 cups. So that is how we use this fraction mixed number division in practice, all right, to a real life situation. So let's look at another question. This time we're switching it up now back into the realm of decimals. A piece of cloth measures 20 meters in length. 0.35 of the cloth was used to make shirts, and 0.5 of the cloth was used to make pairs of pants. Calculate the length of the cloth remaining. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Hello, good day.
Hi, good day. And who am I speaking with?
Hello, good day.
Hi, good day. Are you hearing me?
Juliana.
Okay, welcome, Juliana. So, Juliana, what are your thoughts for this question?
Give me 1 second to read through the question.
All right, no problem. I will read it out again, right?
Yeah, thank you.
A piece of cloth measures 20 meters in length. 0.35 of the cloth was used to make shirts, and 0.5 of the cloth was used to make pairs of pants. Calculate the length of the cloth remaining.
So first you have to find 0.35 of the 20 meters in length.
Right.
Which will be 35. I'm going to use it as a percentage. 35 over 100 multiplied by 20.
Okay, so you're doing it as a percentage?
Yes.
All right.
20 into 21 and 20 into 100 is 5, and 5 into 5 is 1, and 5 into 35 is 7. So yeah, so 0.35 of 20 meters is 7. And then you have to find 0.5 of 20 meters in length.
Yeah.
Which will be 5 over 100 by 20.
Good.
20 into 21, 20 into 100, 5.
Yes.
5 into 5, 1, 5 into 5, 1, which will give you 1. And so 7 plus 1
Hold up.
will give you 8.
5 into 5, 1, and 5 into what?
And 5 into 5, 1.
Are you sure it's 5 into 5? So you said...
5 into 50, 10, sorry.
Right, great. So that gives me how much?
That gives you 10.
Right, and 0.35 was how many meters?
Pardon?
0.35 gave us 7 meters, right?
Yeah.
Of cloth. And 0.5 gave us 10 meters of cloth.
Yeah.
So we would like to know, calculate the length of cloth remaining. So what is the final step here now?
You have to say 10 plus 7 will give you 17, and 20 take away 17 will give you 3.
All right. So we add those two lengths together, we get 17, and 20 take away 17 is 3 meters of cloth left, right?
Yes.
All right. Excellent work, Juliana. That is quite correct.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So Juliana just did something very nice. Okay. We've been looking at the application of decimals, fractions, and percentages. And we know that all of these are sort of related, all right, in one way or the other. And we have here a problem. We have 20 meters of length, let's say a tailor or a seamstress has to make shirts and pants, and 0.35 of the cloth was used to make shirts. Now, this does not mean that 0.35 meters of cloth was used to make shirts, all right? It says 0.35 of the cloth. So the entire cloth, 20 meters, is represented by one whole, all right? Or 1.0 because we're dealing with decimals here. So 0.35 of the cloth means that this is a decimal fraction of that total length of cloth being used to make the shirts. So we could have done 0.35 multiplied by 20, good? We could have converted 0.35 into 35, multiply that by 20, and then move the decimal points back 2 to the left after we've multiplied it, right? You'd notice if you multiply 20 by 35, you would get 700. Good, you multiply 20 by 35, you'd get 700. You can double check that. And because we moved the decimal point 2 places to the right before we multiplied, we must move it back 2 places to the left, and we'll get 7.00 or 7 meters, right? But Juliana decided to treat this as a percentage or as a fraction, right? We have 0.35, which is the same as 35 over 100, which is the same as 35%, of course. And we multiply that by 20 over 1, and we got the same 7 over 1, and we used here the fraction multiplication that we were just practicing with. However, there were no mixed numbers here, right? We have one proper fraction, and we have a whole number. We know we put our whole numbers over 1. So far, so good with Juliana's approach. And then 0.5 of the cloth, which is the same as 1/2, right? Or 5/10, or 50 over 100 in this case, as she put it, right? And if you had multiplied 5/10 by 20, you would have gotten the same thing. You multiplied 1/2 by 20, you would have gotten the same 10 over 1. Or if you had treated it as, you know, a decimal multiplication, you could have said 20 by 5 and gotten 100. Good, and we just move the decimal point in that case one place to the right. So we'd have to move it back once. We'd have to move it back once. Okay. Wrong slide. Move it back once, and we'd have gotten 10.0. And then we add that 10.0 or that 10 to the 7, and we'll get 17. And we subtract that 17 from 20 to get 3 as our answer. Right? So this was a clever way of utilizing her knowledge of the relationship between decimals, and she related it to percentages here. Right? It also could have been related, strictly speaking, to fractions. So you could have put 35 over 100 there and 5 over 10 instead of 50 over 100. Or you could have put it as 1/2. 0.5 is a common decimal that we should know off the top of our head. Whenever we see 0.5, it's the same as 1/2. And all approaches are fine, right? Once we get to the correct solution and we show that we have a grasp of the method that we've adopted. So very innovative and very nicely done, Juliana. So let's look at another question here. A case holds 16 bottles of water. At a marathon, 250 runners took part and each received a bottle of water. What fraction of the last case opened would have been unused? Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Hello,
Hi, good afternoon. And who am I speaking with?
Javen.
Hey, welcome back, Javen. So, Javen, what are your thoughts for this question here?
Okay, so I'm going to read it over.
Sure.
And then I'll go and tell you what I think I have in mind.
All right. Is it possible for you to read it out loud for our audience?
Yes, sir.
All right. Go ahead.
A case holds 16 bottles of water. At a marathon, 250 runners took part and each received a bottle of water. What fraction of the last case opened would have been unused?
All right. So you take a moment and tell me what you think we have to do.
Okay, so I would have to, I think I would have to say 250 divided by 16.
All right. And I would say...
I'm just calculating it too.
Okay, no problem. I agree with you, by the way.
Which is 5. So you have 15, and when you say 90 take away 80 is 10.
Yeah.
That 10 would be the remainder.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're gonna have to
All right, so let me help you a little bit here, right? So far you're doing the right thing. We've divided 250 by 16, right? To know how many cases we've used in total, right?
Oh wait, so I think I have my answer now.
All right, go ahead.
So they said the fraction that is unused. So
Yeah.
the answer would be 5 over 8.
5 over 8?
Yes, sir.
How did you get to 5 over 8?
Well, since there are 16 bottles in one case and 10 bottles remained, you would have to say 10 over 16.
Yeah.
And then you reduce it to 5 over 8.
All right, so you just missed the mark by a little bit. Let me tell you why. Right?
Yes, sir.
They distributed 250 bottles of water because there are 250 runners, right?
Yes,
I
sir.
agree with that. So that means we distributed 15 cases. When we divided by the 16, we got 15 cases, 15 full cases were distributed, plus 10. 15 full cases plus 10 were used, right? So
Yes, sir.
how many more would we have had to use to complete another case, the 16th case?
6. You would have to use 6 more.
Right, so did we use that 6 more?
No, sir.
So that is the definition of unused.
Unused.
Right.
So the answer would be 3/8
Right, so we put the 6, put the 6.
over 16.
Right,
And then you divide the two numbers by 2.
yeah,
6 divided by 2 is 3.
yeah,
And 16 divided by 2 is 8.
very good. So the answer is
3/8.
excellent work, Javan. Well done, and congratulations for getting so far into this problem. This is a tricky one, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you so much for calling.
You're welcome.
So I know that a lot of you out there, your mind might have just been blown, right? As probably Javan's was. So we have 250 runners taking part in a marathon, right? This is a tricky one. And each runner in the marathon received a bottle of water, a meaning 1 bottle of water. Good, we have 16 bottles of water in a case. We want to know what fraction of the last case open would have been unused, not used, but unused. So we want to see how many cases we used, right? So we divide 250 by 16, we'll get 15 with a remainder of 10. Now what we are actually calculating here is how many cases were used, right? So we used 15 cases plus 10 single bottles from the 16th case, all right? So we used 15 full cases and 10 from one case that was not completely used. That's why it's the remainder. Good? So we want to know what fraction of the last case open would have been unused. So if we use 10 from one last case, right, the 16th case in this particular instance, how many would we be left with? We'd be left with 6, because 16 take away 10 is equal to 6. Good, so therefore we did not use 6 bottles from the final case, which would have made this division here into a full 16 if we had actually used 256 bottles instead. Right, so we put that 6, which is the unused, over 16, which is the number of bottles in a case of water, right, and then we cancel it down. Common factor, of 6 and 16 is the number 2. So we say 2 into 6, 3, and 2 into 16 is 8, and we are left with 3/8 of the last case being unused, all right? So that is the answer for that particular problem. Took a lot of skill to work that one out, so well done, Javan, for sticking it through with us, and for just missing out in the end there, right, because of misinterpreting what this remainder is. This remainder is how much of the last case was used, not unused, right? So we used 15 full cases and 10 single bottles from the last case. So if we use those 10, we are left with 16 cases, 16 bottles in a case, 6 over 16, and that is our answer there. So you might want to rewatch this one several times if it in fact stumped you out, all right? So we have another question here. A school's student population is made up of 234 boys and half as many girls. What is the size of the school's population? Much easier than the last question. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV. Hello, caller. Good afternoon.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening. And who am I speaking with?
Nicholas.
Hey, welcome, Nicholas. How are you doing, my friend?
I am fine, thanks.
All right. I was wondering when you'd find out we were back on air, you know.
Well, I didn't know Ollie came back on air because my uncle told me that Ollie back on air now.
Right. Well, it's wonderful to have you back, and you got a very easy question to rejoin us with. So tell me what you think about this one.
Okay, so they say a school student population is made up with 234 boys and half as many as girls. They want to know what is the size of the school population.
Yes.
So my thoughts for this problem, right, is you have to find half of the boys. So half of 234 equals 117.
Right.
So that's girls. So the total population will be boys and girls, which is 234 at 170, and that's 351.
351. All right, excellent. That is absolutely correct, Nicholas. And it is wonderful to have you back. So you'll be joining us again next week, right?
Yeah.
All right, Nicholas, you take care.
Okay.
All right. So that was Nicholas, guys. If you have never watched the results before, this is one of our most dedicated callers, most long-standing callers on the program, and we love the energy that he brings, and we love the energy that all of our callers bring. But of course, it's wonderful to hear a familiar voice again as we recommence the program, right? So here, Nicholas took an approach. The school's population is made up of 234 boys and half as many girls. What is the size of the school's population? So we know that 234, we've already accounted for that. That is the number of boys in the school. So we want to figure out how many girls are there now. So half of 234 gives us 117. So we add that to our 234 boys, and we'll get 351 students in total. We could have done this one more way. All right, one simpler way. Remember, we just did mixed number multiplication. So we can create a fraction here, mixed number. The school's population is made up of 234 boys and half as many girls. So therefore, the school's population will be 1.5 times the number of boys. All right? So we convert this 1.5 to 3 on 2. We put the 234 over 1, and we multiply. Well, we cross-cancel first. All right? And we get the same 117 that Nicholas just got. However, this time we'll have to multiply it by 3. And we take 117 by 3, right? We get 21 there. And we'll get 351 students in total by using the same mixed number multiplication that we just learned about. All right? So I'm going to pause there for today and tell you all about some changes that are coming to our Edmodo class before we welcome Ms. Nyla to the program in a few minutes, right? So previously we've been using an Edmodo class with the code 6KJQ3Y, all right? And that class will continue to remain active until tomorrow at 11:59 p.m., where we have the final creative writing assignment due. Okay, so all of you out there who watch the results, who do the assignments with us, you are just going to go to your classes, whether on the web page or on your app. There'll be a plus sign somewhere. You could click on it depending on your device and your operating system and version of the app and so on. It might be placed in a slightly different location. So you look for that add class or join class, right? And you're going to put this code in, all right, J55AHA, J55AHA, all right? Another way that you can do it, you can go onto our Facebook page and look at the About section of our Facebook page. You'll see our website there. You click on the website, and that is a link that will take you directly into this signing up procedure, right? Where you wouldn't even have to put in the code. You just click on the link, and you just enter your username and password, and you will be put on the queue to be approved for this class. So there are two ways. You can either manually do it, join class and enter this code, or you can click the website link on our Facebook page. It will take you there, and you'll see an option to create a new account. You don't bypass that. Below that, you'll see if you're already a member, you can log in, right? So you just put in the current username and password that you have. So what's going to be a little bit different this time, there's no more automatic approval, right? Even right now, if you try to sign up to our current classroom, You will have to be approved, and if you do it, you do put in the 6 kJ Q3Y, I will still approve you until tomorrow. After tomorrow, I won't accept anybody else into that class, and I'll only accept you just so that you can finish Ms. Nyla's creative writing assignment, which is due at 11:59 p.m. tomorrow night. From Saturday, all of our work will be posted to this new C results page that requires this code. I will also put this code into the current Edmodo class, so it will be easy for you to just copy it there into the sign up, the join class procedure, right? And you will be approved. So once you put in this access code, you will see that you have been placed on a queue to be approved by the class. So you won't see anything until we approve you. All right, so we are always continually approving, but at least every morning we for sure look at the new requests, and we will accept new requests every morning. The reason I'm doing this, I want you all to be more diligent. All right, some of you, every day you create a new account, the same person having 10 and upwards accounts in our class because you keep forgetting your username and password. That is not necessary, okay? If you forget your password, ask your parents to message us on Facebook, on the C Results Facebook page. Ask them to send us a DM on Instagram, right? C Results IBN TV8. Or you can email us, cresultsibntv8@gmail.com. Let us know the situation, and we will just simply reset the password for you, and you can continue to use your same account. We don't want 2, 3, 4, 5, and more accounts per student. It gets very cluttered. It's unnecessary. All right, and we also would like for you, to conduct yourselves appropriately when you're on the page. We had some unfortunate instances of about 2 or 3 students over the period that we were just giving quizzes when we were off air, behaving themselves, improperly, and we had to remove them from the classroom. All right, we don't want that kind of situation, so we want to be, a little more restrictive. And we don't want people with duplicate accounts. We don't want you misbehaving. If we see you misbehaving and we take you out, you're not just going to come back in, because you have to be approved to enter the classroom. All right, so we're going to keep it, a little more compact this time. And if we see over a period of time, over a week, 2 weeks, that you are just there, you're not doing any work at all, I will also remove you from the group. All right, yes, we do encourage the socializing to an extent, because it is a social media platform built around education. So children do share questions with each other. They do discuss, relevant things. They do share art with each other, different projects that they're working on. They have their friends critique it and so on. All of that is marvelous. We encourage that. We fully support and condone that. All right, we just don't want the misbehavior, and we don't want you creating a new account every day. All right, so with this new procedure, you'll be accepted into the new class. You can begin to apply now. You probably won't be approved until tomorrow, but that's okay. No work will be posted there until Saturday morning, which is when our new quizzes will be out. They will all be on this new Edmodo class, the old one. The only thing left to be done on that is the creative writing assignment that is due at 11:59 p.m. tomorrow night. And of course, to guide you with some more tips on creative writing, we have Ms. Nyla coming up right now. So I'll be going, and in about a minute or two, Ms. Nyla will be joining you to continue with our creative writing. I hope the math session has been enjoyable and productive. Thank you so much for watching. Continue to see results with C Results, and I'll see you next week, God willing. Good evening. Assalamu alaikum.
High blood pressure is as dangerous as an overpumped balloon. Measuring your blood pressure every day can save you from risk of high blood pressure. MicroLife fully automatic upper arm blood pressure monitor with stroke risk detection. MicroLife AFib screens for atrial fibrillation while taking your blood pressure. High blood pressure and atrial fibrillation are both considered controllable risk factors for stroke. If AFib is present during blood pressure measurement, the AFib icon is displayed flashing at the end of the triple measurement. Once 3 measurements are complete, the measurement data are shown on the display. MicroLife, a partner for people, for life.
Prices on all grocery items. Trust low-cost supermarket for the widest variety of quality products at low prices. Freshly picked fruits and vegetables, healthy products for your well-being, high-quality meat cuts, and a warm and friendly service. Low-cost supermarket, Southern Main Road, Cunupia.
Assalamu alaikum, good evening guys, and welcome back to C Results. I'm Miss Nyla and you are now joining me for creative writing. Good afternoon, welcome all our viewers, whether you are joining us live at home, watching us via television, channel 8, or you are with us on our live stream on Facebook via the C Results page or the IBN TV 8 page. Welcome guys, I hope that you all are having a good day, right, and that you are getting lots of work done. Now for creative writing today, what we are going to be doing, similar to that on Tuesday, where we looked at narrative writing, we're going to be continuing that a little bit, and then we're going to move on to revision of expository type. Now, for our new viewers, I just want to remind you guys, our existing viewers, and for our new viewers, we are just currently recapping creative writing. So we know that for the SCA exam, we focus mainly on narrative style writing and expository style writing. Now, for last season, what we did, we looked at all the topics necessary in getting you ready for both types of essays. And what we are going to do before we go back to reading students' pieces and critiquing and, you know, helping you where we can to improve your essays, we are going to do a recap this week and probably the earlier part of next week, and then we're going to move on to that. So on Tuesday, we looked at narrative style writing and all the content, and we even looked at the rubric. So you now further understand, you know, what is required of you when you are writing a narrative piece. For today, what I'm going to do, I'm going to look a little bit on character and setting, right? So description of characters and setting, that is. Sometimes students lack a little bit in these areas, and I just want to make sure that you have a fair understanding of what is required of you and how you can even improve in your character description and in your setting. Some of us love to begin our stories with a beautiful setting, right? A vivid setting, a description of that. So I am going to help you get to that point if you are not already there. Just remember, I just have a couple examples for you today because, like I said, this is a recap. On our YouTube channel, C Results, that is, you can, you know, view all our videos, the full videos of really great descriptions and lots of examples, right? So it's a really great learning resource for you guys to join, right? Subscribe to our YouTube channel, look at those videos in full, and of course, you can always tune in to us every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday for our live episodes. So I'm just going to go directly to our character description, right? We know that we need characters in our story. But why do we need characters in a story, right? Without your characters in a story, how will your story read? How will it progress, right? How will your reader interpret your story? So we know that your characters can either be people, animals, or any sorts of creatures. So aliens, you know, superheroes, any of those, that is fine, right? Characterization is all about bringing your story to life, helping your characters bring your story to life, right? It's about giving your characters personality. That helps to build your story a lot. So in your story, we know that there must be a protagonist and an antagonist, right? Of course, your stories will vary, but you should know that the protagonist is the main character, so often the good person or the hero in your story, and there is where you will have the problems that need to be solved. Likewise, with the antagonist, right, that's the enemy in your story, if you're having a story such as that. Right? And that's the bad person who you portray to be the villain in your story, and often stands in the way of the protagonist solving the problem. Right? Now, it often may be characters, it may not be characters, right? When I say may not, it can be probably your stories about an illness, right? So you will have to know how to take your story from there. So this is what we are familiar with, the protagonist and the antagonist in your story writing. Now, for those of you, you know, who have been with us a while, we already had this picture on our screen, right? But what I want to do today, I just want those of you who are just joining us, and of course, those of you who forgot about this, right? We have a character on our screen here, and I want you to take a close look at this character. Now, I'm just going to take about 2 calls, and I just want to hear your opinions about how you will describe this character. Now, I know you will not be able to give me a complete paragraph, but you can give me a couple lines, probably telling about or describing the character's eyes, maybe ears, nose, anything like that you would like to share with us about this character. So I'm just going to leave it there for a second. The lines are open. The numbers are on your screen. Feel free to call us and help us. Now, the reason I'm taking it from this direction, now, if you are stuck, you are looking at this picture, and you are stuck, or you can only think of the simplest of use for vocabulary, your adjectives, to describe this character. So you're seeing gray hair, you're seeing brown skin, and that is how you are going about describing this character. Now, that's why I want to take you from. I don't want you to only be able to use basic and simple adjectives, and I'm going to say boring adjectives to describe a character. We have learned that we need to make our character description interesting, enticing, one that helps the reader to paint, right, a vivid description of what is being read. So they can actually imagine, and, you know, it's as if the character is in front of them because of what they are reading. So that's what I want from you. So the lines are still open. If along the way we have a couple calls, I'm going to take them. In the meantime, I'm going to show you, give you a couple examples, of, you know, how you can describe a character. So we are going to look at height, age, something as simple as hair, facial hair, ears, all of those things are traits that we can even elaborate on to make our character a bit interesting, right? So just pay attention to this, keep this to the back of your mind, and to the end of our description, when I have shared with you what I've prepared, I'm going to give you a paragraph about this character, right? And we are going to use what we have learned to write that paragraph. So let's look at the character here, just as we've seen a witch or a hag, right? We want to talk about age, height, and shape. Now, I'm not using these specific sentences to describe that character. I just have a few examples here, right? I'm prepared for you. It's not necessarily going to pertain to that picture, but like I said in the video on our YouTube channel, earlier video on character description, we had many, many examples, right? So what I want you to do is just basically choose one and memorize a couple adjectives from them, or look at the layout or the structure of the sentence, look at the choice of words and how they put them together to describe the character, right? That's the main idea of this lesson. So let's read these examples here. He shivered as he looked up at the human pyramid towering over him. Another example, a small man with stumpy little legs shuffled towards them. He was big for his age with broad, muscular shoulders. The tall, lanky teenager used his long legs to intercept the ball, right? So these here are just a couple examples, of course not pertaining to the picture, just as I said, right? But these are some ways that you can you know, if you want to describe the age and the height and the shape of someone, how you can write that in a sentence, how you can put that information together. Sometimes we have to the back of the mind what we want to say, but we do not know how to express ourselves. We have to learn to express ourselves, of course, through writing. That's where you're going to get marks in creative writing. It's all about being creative. Right, and moving on to description of color and texture. He was painfully thin and his face deathly pale. His skin is sickly, gray color and hung in wrinkled folds. So maybe this was one of the examples that you can pull out to comprise your paragraph for the picture that we showed earlier, right? That could be a suitable description. His face was crumpled, unshaven, and gray with anxiety. Her pale skin was translucent. It was almost purple under her eyes and limp and sagging with wrinkles, right? So look at the way they are forming their sentences. Can you, when we are reading these sentences, can you picture what is being read? Can you picture someone with this color and texture of skin? And yes, you can, right? So that's what I want you to be able to do. What about teeth? Her teeth were like polished pearls. He had a great sheet of polished white teeth and a warm smile. Her false teeth clicked when she moved her lips. A gold-capped molar glinted when he opened his mouth. His teeth jutted out like fangs and curved down his lower lip. Right? So those are just some examples that you can use if you want to describe the teeth of a character. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take a minute break, and when I come back, we are just going to continue with our characters' description. Stay tuned with us, guys. Guys, we'll be right back.
High blood pressure is as dangerous as an overpumped balloon. Measuring your blood pressure every day can save you from risk of high blood pressure. MicroLife fully automatic upper arm blood pressure monitor with stroke risk detection. MicroLife AFib screens for atrial fibrillation while taking your blood pressure. High blood pressure and atrial fibrillation are both considered controllable risk factors for stroke. If AFib is present during blood pressure measurement, the AFib icon is displayed flashing at the end of the triple measurement. Once 3 measurements are complete, the measurement data are shown on the display. MicroLife, a partner for people, for life.
On all grocery items, trust low-cost supermarket for the widest variety of quality products at low prices. Freshly picked fruits and vegetables, healthy products for your well-being, high-quality meat cuts, and a warm and friendly service. Low-cost supermarket, Sun and Main Road, Cunupia.
Assalamu alaikum, good evening guys, and welcome back to See Results. I'm Miss Nyla, and you're rejoining me for a creative writing lesson today. So just before the break, we started off with revision of character description, and a little later on we're going to be moving on to setting description. So we are looking at physical attributes of an animal, a human, or even a creature. However you wish to portray your character in your story. Right, so up until now, we just discussed, and I gave you some examples of description for teeth of a character. Now we're going to be moving on to the mouth, right? Any of these traits here, or examples given, or description about your character given, tells or helps add to the story of your character, right? It tells a little bit about your character. Now, I'm not saying that you need to use each and every physical attribute here to describe your character, but you can choose the ones that you wish to, right? And you should at least choose about 3 or 4. You don't have to write an entire paragraph about your character, describing your character, that is, but you should give us sufficient information about that character. Now, for your character, you don't only need to give physical description. You can also give us a description of emotions, right? And I do have a couple examples of those to give you. So as long as time permits, I will do that today, okay? So let's move back to character description here, physical character description. She had a tiny rosebud mouth. Her mouth and plump lips rose in a perfect curve, right? So maybe this character here was smiling, and this is how you can tell us that, right? You don't directly have to tell us that the character is smiling. But character description, based on your description, it tells about your character directly and indirectly, of course. He was big-lipped and gap-toothed, right? So here, gap-toothed, by you just saying that, we know that this character has a space between his teeth, right? So just know how to use your words to help bring your character to life. Help us see that character. Her lips were pale and pressed into a tight, thin line, right? So this was, this is telling us about a character that's maybe serious, angry, right? Somebody who does not want to be disturbed, right? This is how their face may look at this time, or their mouth, to be specific. Right? What about the nose of a character? Think about the character that we saw at the beginning of this lesson. Right? What about that nose? Let's see. He had a flattened nose of a boxer. Her small, upturned nose was covered in freckles. She was a petite woman with a thin, perfectly straight nose. His eagle beak of a nose made him look stern and arrogant. Right? So that eagle beak of a nose there. Can you think of any character that you may know exists that may have an eagle beak, right? Can you picture that? What am I saying when I say eagle beak? Is it a small nose, right? Think about it. Is an eagle's nose really small? No, it's not, right? Hands and fingers. Her nails were chipped and encrusted with dirt. 2 enormous shovel-like hands lunged at him, right? So this is somebody who's been attacked. Right? You're talking about the attacker here, telling us about that person or character. She drummed her long bony fingers on the table impatiently. Right? So think about it. Think about someone who is sitting, you know, they can no longer wait. They have been waiting for a long time, impatient. Right? Think about their actions. Right? They drum their fingers. His hand was a burnt, twisted claw with blackened talons for nails. Right? Very nice description here. What about eyebrows? Can you describe the eyebrows on a character? What can you say about the eyebrows on a character? Right? Let me share some with you, some examples. Her eyes were curtained by heavy black eyebrows. So this is a character here that clearly has thick eyebrows. Her thinly plucked arch eyebrows made her look permanently surprised. His bushy eyebrows met in the middle and stuck out fiercely at odd angles, right? So these eyebrows here are joined, right? No separation. This is what they mean by his bushy eyebrows met in the middle. He had deep-set eyes, which were shadowed by a gnarled brow, right? Let's go on to eyes. What can you say about the eyes of a character? Now, eyes often, you know, is one of the descriptions that we like to give, right? The eyes of a beast, eyes of a creature, the eyes of a little boy, the eyes of a puppy, right? So we like to give a description of eyes. It really tells us about your character, of course, and it tells us and brings that personality to life of the character. His eyes were velvet brown and beamed with warmth like candles in the dark, right? So somebody who's, you know, a really nice person then, right? Somebody who's welcoming. Eyes that were as black as coal peered at her from beneath curly black lashes. His steely blue eyes glinted like frost. His large staring eyes were an icy gray, right? So they didn't just say gray eyes, but icy gray. His bright green eyes burned with a cruel light. So this is somebody who's filled with rage, somebody who's envious, right? Somebody who's angry even. And the voice, right? We like to use dialogue, of course, in our story, and we should use dialogue in our story. And on Tuesday, I touched a little bit about dialogue tags, right? So this is how you can incorporate a difference in use of dialogue tags. So, and of course, with your dialogue itself, it tells us about and paints that scenario, that particular situation in which the character is in, right? Or maybe getting in, depending on your story, how far it's along, it's coming. Don't move, he urged in a croaky voice. I didn't do it, she screamed in a high-pitched, whining voice, right? I just want to point out to you here, he urged, right? And she screamed. So he didn't say, he didn't shout, right? And we often like to say shout and use only one dialogue tag. Differentiate, use a lot. His voice was thunderous and seemed to vibrate in his chest. Sam found it difficult to pay attention to her low, droning voice and drifted off to school. That should actually be sleep, right? I just want to take a second here and tell you guys, now here, I just want to remind you all that I only have a couple examples because when we were doing this lesson initially, I gave you all lots and lots of examples. So just keep that to the back of your mind. So if you're seeing or not seeing an example here that you would like to use maybe for a pleasant character, somebody who's really friendly, right? You can go ahead and look at that video. The options are almost endless, okay? So read them through. You're going to find something that you like and that will fit in well with your style of writing. Let's go back to this. Description of hair. Her hair hung down in two long pigtails. Her long black hair fell around her face like a curtain. Her sandy hair was held back from her face by a silver headband. She had a head of reddish curls which cascaded down her back, right? So the word cascaded here, what does that tell us, right? So we didn't say it was just falling down her back or ran down her back. You know, the word cascaded here tells us that, you know, the hair itself, it paints a picture. So it falls really beautifully down her back, maybe in a particular style, right, of that reddish curls. What about facial hair? His black, carelessly trimmed beard looked as if it had been cut by a hedge trimmer, right? So untidy head of hair. His goatee beard and thick glasses made him look slight, eccentric. Grizzled hair sprouted in all directions from his unkempt, bushy sideburns. His beard was tangled and grimy with food, which he had dribbled when he was eating, so a messy eater, right? What about clothes of your character? Clothes are another one we often go to use to describe our character. Her black trench coat was draped casually around her shoulders. A plump woman, right? So the use of the word plump there, what does that suggest? Can you think of the meaning of the word plump? A plump woman in a shapeless black dress sat down beside her. She was elegantly dressed in a navy skirt and matching jacket with a cream blouse fastened with a brooch. She looked stern but professional in a black tailored suit and a red silk blouse, right? Of course, you can use these same words or your choice of words, whichever you're accustomed to. Of course, we know that we must widen our vocabulary every day. Try to learn a word or two if you can. At least 5 for the week. Set a goal for yourself, but you should try your absolute best to introduce new words into your vocabulary. Also, if you're reading and you come across any words that you don't know, add it to your vocabulary list. Immediately pick up your phone or your dictionary and find out the meaning for that word and try to use it in your writing. Right? So back to our character here. So we're looking at this closely, just as we did. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to read a paragraph to you using some of the descriptions, probably not necessarily all of these from here, but this was definitely from when we looked at the entire list of description sentences given to build on this character or to talk about and describe this character here. Greta was a wicked witch that lived in an abandoned house on the edge of the forest. She had a wide mouth filled with stained and crooked teeth that jutted out from her lower lip. Her cheeks looked hollow and the flesh was wrinkled and sagging. Her eyes were unblinking and bulging like a frog. Her long pickle-shaped nose hung from her face and was covered in swollen red bumps. She had ash-gray hair, which was cut short and spiked like a hedgehog. Her ears were so big, it looked like she had 2 mini satellite dishes attached to either side of her head. Just want to go back to the picture here so you can see how we use that or the description here to talk about our character. Right? So this witch or hag here, right? You can build your story anywhere along those lines. So if you want your character to be mean or angry or fierce or welcoming, that's all up to you. Your choice of words and examples. And just as I said earlier, we have some description of emotions, right? So emotions play an important part or a role when we are writing our story. Of course, we must tell about how our character is feeling. So I'm going to do that, but just after we take a break, and we do need to take a break. It's time for Maghrib. So it's going to be back in a couple minutes, guys. Stay tuned with us, and we'll be back after the Maghrib by then. Assalamu alaikum, good evening guys, and welcome back to See Results. I'm Miss Nyla, and we are on to our creative writing session for today. So just before the break, we started character description and just completed that. We looked at different ways that you can describe your character. So if you're talking about age, their physical appearance, or anything like that, there are lots of examples for you to look at, to refer to, and of course use our YouTube channel and our videos as a learning resource to build on what you already know. Now what we are going to look at, we are going to look at the description of some emotions, right? So some of the more common emotions that you would use in your writing. For example, if you want to talk about a character that is determined or concentrating on something, right? Here are a few ideas that you can maybe follow. She tried desperately to remember where she had seen him before. He was deep in thought and heard little of what was being said around him, right? So somebody who is deeply focused. He shuddered and tensed as a hard ball of determination tightened in his stomach. So you're probably in a sticky situation here, you're not sure what to do, and you want to talk about that. Here's an idea of how you can go ahead doing so. He was silent and stony-faced. With his chin jutting out, he paced backwards and forwards across the room, deep in thought. What about a character that is sympathetic or even caring? His face turned soft and sympathetic, and his voice sank into a murmur. She drew her eyebrows together and turned her mouth down into a look of concern. Her brown eyes were like velvet, warm and comforting. As he looked down on her, his eyes beamed with warmth like candles in the dark. Right? What about a character? You're at the end of your story, you just came to the resolution, talking about being relieved. Slowly, the pounding eased in her chest and the sweat dried on her brow. She could feel the blood surging round her body and releasing the tension. He began to calm down and his heart started to slow, but the panic had left and an ache in his head had a ringing in his ear. His breathing grew slower as a new calm settled over her, right? And of course, then you have characters who are angry or aggressive, irritated, or also impatient. He was sweating and burning with rage. She saw his face through narrow eyes and a fog of rage. Her reply fueled his anger, and he erupted like a volcano, right? So you can no longer take that frustration, cannot keep it inside anymore. His fury knew no limits, one vicious flash of temper after another, right? So talking about here somebody, probably a beast, right, attacking someone or somebody who's really angry, right? So those are just a couple examples, not of all the descriptions that we have here. So for example, angry, aggressive, and so on, right? But these are just a few that you can refer to. What about a character that is cold or evil, sly or arrogant? His pale, skull-like face split into an evil grin. Every word he spoke dribbled with venom and hate. She directed a look of pure venom at his retreating back. Snorting with contempt, he bared his yellow teeth into a reptilian sneer. He raised his eyebrows and glanced at her with a cold, arrogant expression. And then again, we have characters which are scared, frightened, or even timid. Every bone in his body warned him not to go further. He was sick with fear, but the thought of the consequences urged him on. She was struck dead with terror. Her heart was beating painfully fast and banging against her ribs. And I will say that having a scared or description of a scared or frightened character in your story is very common, right? So we should actually perfect how to describe the emotions for characters that are going through those. And then sad and miserable characters as well. The pain of loss spread through his chest like a dull ache, right? You lost something, a hope, a dream, something physical maybe. A horrible sense of loneliness bled through her. The gripping pain in her ear was reflected in her haunted expression. He buried his head in his hands and try to block out the sadness erupting inside. And pain. If you're going through pain, your character is going through pain, what are you going to say to talk about or to express the pain in such a way that the person reading your essay is going to understand or even feel that emotion? Writhing in agony, he clutched his stomach and groaned. He let out a loud, ragged wail and tugged wildly at his hair. The pain gripped his head like a clenched fist. Her mouth gaped like a fish out of water, and tears streamed down her face. Half mad with pain in her back, she released an ear-splitting yell. She curled into a ball and howled like a wounded animal. Right? So, in addition to having description here, we use some figurative language to build on the adjectives or description that you're already giving. Right? That's always a great touch to incorporate your figurative language with your descriptive language. And of course, I must mention that they both go hand in hand. And on Tuesday, we did a little bit of revision of figurative language as well, or at least the ones that we are familiar with or should be familiar with in getting ready for the SCA exam. Right? So if you missed Tuesday's episodes for some reason, go back, guys, and catch those as a nice short crash course of narrative writing. Let's continue here with a tired character. He could barely put one foot in front of the other and groaned with every step. Her eyes fluttered open and she mumbled weakly. He kept stopping every few meters, whining that he couldn't go any further. Swallowing hard, he flicked his tongue round his lips, trying to draw some moisture to his mouth and lips. Right? So maybe you were running and you become tired of running. You don't know what to do. Right? You're dehydrated. This is how you can explain that or share that emotion with us. Unable to walk another step, she slumped forward and lay corpse-like on the floor. Right? This expression here, corpse-like, tells us like that of a dead person. You cannot move. Right? You cannot move an inch further. You are that tired. Coming down to the end, we have the emotions, of course, of an excited or happy character. Right? So this is also another popular emotion, quite popular actually. His elation was an almost unbearable gurgle in his stomach. He was buzzing with excitement and couldn't help breaking into a wide grin. She felt as if she was on top of the world, and a glow of happiness that spread through her, or a glow of happiness spread through her. With heart pounding and hands shaking, she tore open the envelope. Maybe some exciting news there. Right? And a happy voice. He laughed, a big hearty laugh that echoed around the room. She let out a squeal of delight and hopped up and down on the spot. He threw back his head and exploded into a loud guffaws of laughter. She tried to smother her laughter, but it exploded as a snort, right? Which can sometimes be really funny, right? It may have happened to you once or twice already, but that's fine. It shows how happy you really are in the moment, right? And how will you move if you are happy, if your character is happy? What type of actions will they display? She threw her arms around his neck and shrieked with joy. She dropped the phone and leapt into the air. Screaming, she pumped the air with her fist. We walked with a bounce in his step. He walked with a bounce in his step and a wide, eager grin on his face. Right? So that's probably some of your happy walks. Right? They were shivering with excitement and pumped each other's fist enthusiastically. Now I have this character here for you. So we're going to look at a paragraph that tells a little bit about this character. How does this character look to you, right? What adjectives or what expressions will you use to tell us about this character? So let's look at the paragraph I have written for you here. Short one. It was the last day of school. Timothy's face was lit up with a huge smile as broad as his face. His elation was almost unbearable. He spread his arms like a bird in the wind, let out a squeal of delight, and hopped up and down on the spot. Right? So it's a very short paragraph, but it tells exactly about the character. It's specific. Right? So not too many details, but just enough to tell us enough about that character, or that picture more specifically. Right, so we are finished with the revision of character description and that of emotions. Now we're going to be moving on to setting, right? So let's talk a little bit about setting description. So we know that setting is the place where your story is taking place. Now you know that the setting in your story can change, right? So it may begin at home, then may go on to finishing up in the park or even a beach, right? Sometimes your story can even go out of space, right, into some parallel universe, something that you make up, something imaginary, right? That is all fine. Now, when you use a setting such as that, of course, you need to know how to describe it or suitable adjectives to use there, but also it opens up a lot of possibilities, right? So that means that it can take place anywhere. Right? You can start off in your basement, and maybe in your basement you discovered a black hole. In that black hole, it took you out of space, you know, something like that. Use your imaginary to make your story interesting. Try to think out of the box, as they say. Right? So time is also really important. So setting is talking about place and time, not only place. Right? So time in your story, setting is equally useful for showing changes that contribute to the character and plot development, right? So we know that we must paint a picture. You don't have to say specifically it was 10 o'clock in the morning or at night, right? But just by the way that you describe your setting, you know, if you describe the sun, some of you really love to do that, and the clouds and a breezy atmosphere, we know that it's definitely daytime, right? So it's all about your choice of words. So let's look at some ways that we can talk about the description of a city or a town, a village or a road even, right? It was a quaint town with narrow cobbled streets. The picturesque market town was surrounded by gentle hills and leafy lanes. The seaside town was a small, enchanting haven from the polluted city. Ahead of him on the rocky coast was a quaint fishing village. Or the ancient town was a warren of tunnels and narrow, twisting alleys and a maze of buildings. It was a cosmopolitan city. The street markets filled the air with an exciting mix of smells and sounds from around the world. The city was bustling with tourists, eager to explore the scores of shops, art galleries, and museums. The village was no more than a pile of stones and shattered walls. The houses were crowded together and blackened by soot and smog. Right? So there you have many options of ways that you can choose from if you wish to describe or even use a setting such as those mentioned. What about for beaches or islands, volcanoes or deserts? The beach was long and narrow and sloped gently down the sea. He was surrounded by sugar-white beaches and a vivid blue sea that stretched for miles. The emerald jewel of coral reefs and diamond dust beaches were enclosed by a lush green forest. The beach was a long arc of golden sand sheltered by dunes and large umbrella palm trees. It was an eerie, lifeless island guarded by steep rocky cliffs. They had arrived in a paradise of tropical islands with swaying palm trees, pure white beaches, and brilliant turquoise lagoons, right? You can actually picture the setting according to these sentences here. And these are just simple sentences. Well, some of them are simple sentences, right? That you don't need to, don't need to go in depth with. So you don't need to tell us about, the trees and the sky and the birds that are passing and the color of the sun and all of that, right? You look at a simple way that you can tell us about the setting without the irrelevant details. Straight to the point. Really nicely done. The island was a time capsule. Wherever they went, they found relics of an ancient world. Littered with bones, the shore was a jigsaw of human and animal skeletons. The air was thick with choking fumes. The earth trembled and shook and sent everything crashing to the ground. Huge black clouds blocked out the sun and darkness fell. Right? So this maybe it's a hurricane, right? So some sort of natural disaster, right? So you don't actually have to say that the sky became black. You know, tell us about the clouds, tell us about what's happening, right? It's as simple as that. Torrents of sizzling, smoldering ash and rocks rained from the sky. As the volcano erupted, there was a deafening boom and the ground trembled and shook, right? So this can also be used here for probably explanation or setting of that of an earthquake, right? The desert was a furnace, so really hot. We know that the desert is hot, right? So don't use the word hot, right? Try to use synonyms, of course, or a word that replaced that. It was a land of burning sands. Huge sand dunes had been blown away by the sandstorm and dumped elsewhere. The endless, flat horizon was suddenly broken by a group of tall pillars like giant mushrooms. Again, use of figurative language, more specifically a simile there. It was a burning, merciless desert of glare and death. Right? So really nicely put together. Let's go on to that of a forest. Or even woods. The majestic trees stood tall and proud. The trees were joined together like a crowd of vivid green umbrellas. Cloaked in mist, the trees looked like ghostly, stooped figures. It was impossible to move quickly through the spidery tangle of trees and bushes. The forest floor was a writhing carpet of buzzing, crawling insects. Rotting leaves hid the roots that wriggled across the ground. The branches twisted and grated against each other like rusty hinges. As it drifted through the forest, the fog made eerie shapes and shadows. And here I have an example paragraph for you with a setting of a forest. So let's look at this. Right? So we are using some of the description that we just read, and then there might be others. The trees in the forest were not brown. Grains of poison begrimed the bark and gleamed like witch dust. The decaying air and stifling atmosphere provided the perfect abode for those who worshiped the darkness rather than the light. In the dense shadows, spiders clutched their snare strings. Their webs shimmered like meshed steel dipped in silver. Eyes aflame with hunger, they were hoping to dine on bloated bodies and slurp on hot blood, right? So this paragraph here definitely, goes with the setting of a forest or a dark forest, right? Something probably you and your friend were walking there, probably trying to discover some treasure, and you ran into a mysterious creature, right? So great. That's about it for narrative recapping. So with narrative, I'm just going to remind you guys, it's a little bit more optional, I would say, in terms of expressing yourselves and where you can take your story, as opposed to expository type writing, which is the next type of writing that we are going to be moving on or recapping. Now, with narrative writing, there are lots of things for you to remember, right? More specifically, or even how you can remember such, is that, when we looked at the rubric on Tuesday, that was not the first time we looked at the rubric, actually. We have been using the rubric throughout all of our creative writing sessions, especially when we are critiquing pieces, to help us understand, our areas of weaknesses and our strengths, of course, right? So once you have memorized, what the rubric is all about, how you can earn 5 marks or the maximum of 5 marks in each of the criteria, and you are going to be fine, right? You just have to remember a couple of things, what content entails. You must know your elements of a story. You must know how to organize your story, the language suitable for narrative style writing. So you must include not only character description and setting description, but you must use descriptive language, your sensory details, and your figurative language. And the last part of the rubric, of course, is that of grammar mechanics, right? How well you are able, or how well you have mastered that grammar, or all of those rules that we have been learning all along, right? So keep revising, keep practicing. We know that we have an extension for the essay exam. Soon we will be finding out the date, the exact date for that exam, so that's going to help us a lot. But right now we are focusing our attention on doing as much revision, and for mathematics and ELA we are doing not only questions, but some, like for example in ELA we are doing the practice papers, right? So stay tuned with us and, you know, continue to progress, and let us help you to progress along the way and get ready for SE exam. Just a quick reminder, guys, as Sir Ijaz just mentioned with our Edmodo class, right? Those of you who have been with us from the very beginning, you would know that we have an existing Edmodo class, right? So that is this class actually, the one on the screen. Just give me a second there. Okay, so it's the one that you're accustomed to, right? That will be on our Facebook page, and it has been on the show for the longest time, and that is it on the screen right now, right? That's the code. So this on our Edmodo class currently, we have a creative writing assignment, a narrative essay. So you are required to, you know, complete that essay by tomorrow, 11:59 p.m. And after that, we are going to close that class, and we have a new Edmodo class, which is on my screen right now. That's the code there, which you have to request to be joined, right? So you're using your same username, your same password, and you are requesting to join this class. Sir Ijaz or myself will approve the request, and there we will have a new class created. Don't be too worried. We don't have any new work or assignments posted as yet, just the narrative that we posted earlier this week, right? So make sure and complete that, and then later on we will have quizzes as usual for mathematics, ELA, and creative writing on our Edmodo class. For those of you who are just joining us, just became part of the C Results program, we have an Edmodo class, right? It's a community of learners where students exchange work, ideas, projects, whatever it is on that forum, right? Specific to education, of course. So, you know, become a part of it, check it out. You will definitely like and enjoy it. Parents, you will be happy to know that you will be able to monitor your child's progress on that site, right? So you can also create an account. So for further information about our C Results program, you can look at our Facebook page, that is our C Results page, or the IBN TV 8 page where we have our live stream, right? But all our videos are on our C Results page, and even better than that, on our YouTube channel, we have our videos, our past videos, so over 100 hours of content prepared and waiting to be used as a learning resource, right? So, you know, take some time, check it out, and you will not regret it. So, guys, that's it for the program for this week. Rejoin us Monday as we have mathematics and creative writing, not creative writing, mathematics and ELA again on Monday. So we look forward to seeing you then, guys. It has been my pleasure. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, guys.